What is up, guys? What do you think of Kamala Harris's first campaign video? Should we take a look?
In this election, we each face a question.
Now, before we get started, let's get some context out, shall we? Should we just set the scene? Like, where are we? How did we get here? Because, so Biden stepped down, okay? President Biden, quite an old chap. There were rumours he was getting a bit confused, losing some of his faculties. And until now, that has been the main narrative of the Democrats' run-up to the November election. That has been the story that everyone has been talking. Like, it's been quite depressing, really, observing that car crash from afar. You know, seeing the main component of the Democrats' campaigning strategy thus far appears to have been, is anyone going to take the keys off him? Or that has been the main talking point so far, has it not? So anyway, then he steps down, and then Kamala Harris steps up, and then so those two things are, you know, huge developments in their own right. But now comes the time when you actually want to get an understanding of what Kamala Harris is actually about, because, you know, the relief of her not being Joe Biden, that will only get you so far. Just like, you know, over here, we're not the Conservative Party, though, you know, like that thing. Or even, you know, over there, we're the Democrats. At least we're not Trump. Like, that will only get you so far. And eventually, inevitably, you know, once you run out of people's good grace and their relief and everything has run flat, then you're going to need something that's actually you, aren't you? Then you're going to need sound bites, you're going to need vision, you're going to need ideas, and realistically, a load of cameos and appearances on SNL and Jimmy Fallon. So, what is her deal? What is Kamala Harris all about, guys? Well, that is what this campaign video is about. So let's take a look. This is what has just dropped this afternoon.
In this election, we each face a question. There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate.
Okay, so she's weaving a narrative, isn't she, that Trump is the negative candidate, right? He's a negative influence.
Of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. Freedom, freedom.
And then there's a nod to, you know, gun violence, possibly gun control. There's healthcare, there's birth control in there. And the fact that your boy Donnie is a convict. I mean, broadly, it's good. It's a good campaign video. Do you know what? It reminds me of like an actual, you know, a cinema trailer, doesn't it? You know, it's the build-up, it's the Kamala, it's the music. Like, all that's missing is the dead quiet beat. Like, you know, when the music builds up and it builds up and then it just goes quiet, and then she says the cool thing. You know, like, that's what's missing here. It's like, freedom, freedom, freedom. Then it goes quiet. Then she turns to the camera and she's like, always bet on black. I mean, like, they wouldn't. I don't think they would go that far. But that is the only thing that's missing from it in terms of it looking and sounding like a movie trailer.
We choose freedom.
Freedom, freedom. Anyway, this is the first proper piece of campaigning content from her, isn't it? I think I'm right in saying that. And here's the wild thing. Like, even before this was released, right? So before her campaign has really kicked off in earnest, she's already raised $231 million. $231 million. A $250 million. It's insane money. And that is just in the, like, 2 working days or whatever, like, since Joe Biden stepped down, which, like, I mean, that must really sting if you're Joe Biden. Like, I'm sure Joe Biden is a lovely guy, and I'm sure he's got, you know, myriad of achievements that he can be proud of himself for. and all of these different things and bills and stuff that he's achieved over his political career. I'm sure he's lovely. I'm sure he's done a lot. But that must sting. That must be some humble pie. That must be some humble American pie. Some apple pie, sour apple pie to swallow down for Joe Biden. When the second you give up and throw in the towel, your follow-up, your understudy, steps up and smashes it and brings in all this fucking money. I mean, that is like when you're a comedian. I don't know if many of you are comedy heads or whatever, but that is kind of like when you're a mid-level open micy comedian, you know, and you've got your podcast or whatever, and you're building a bit of a following. So you put on a live show and you only sell like 11 tickets, right? Your first ever live show because you thought you had a following. And then when your friends go, oh, it's a little bit empty, you go, well, yeah, I know. Young people don't go out the way that they used to, you know, in our day. Like, people, you know, it's a cost of living crisis. That's why, yeah, I think it's just harder to sell tickets these days. Only for literally the next night, the following night, one of your peers, another mid-level comedian, sells out the 200-seater venue. And there's a queue around the block for people just waiting for a chance to get in. And you're watching this, you're like, oh, man, this is really exposing me to my own insecurities right now. I mean, that is Joe Biden. Right in a second. You know, God love him. Like, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he's got a lot to be proud of. I'm sure his kids love him, etc., etc. All of the usual prefaces before saying this. But that is Joe Biden. Is like the depressed, disheveled, dreams broken comedian watching the guy the following night sell out the same venue with absolutely no trouble at all. That is Joe Biden this week. He steps down and immediately Kamala Harris is on some like float day at the stock market shit. You know, he's struggling to get $50,000 donation here and a $130,000 donation over there. She steps up. She's going to bring in $1 billion by August the 1st. And he's going to be like, what the f***? Poor Joe. Poor Joe's going to be like the broke comic looking at the successful popular comics ticket queue. Like, it's funny, like, separately, they're all just individual young people all going out for a good night. And yet, collectively, they all become a sort of mascot for my self-loathing. Like, how have you all individually and yet collectively been cast and choreographed to perform here tonight as the theatre troupe for my self-loathing? How have you done it? Because truly, you are nailing it. What do you guys make of the video? What do you make of Kamala's first campaign video? Let me know in the comments. And also, you know, like and subscribe and all the other stuff that people say at the end of videos like this. Peace.